the verses discussing the third Anubandha called Sambandha, which is connection between the identity of the jiva, individual soul, and Brahman, universal soul. This identity cannot be directly proved or explained, but can be done through an indirect method. The connection mentioned in a verse is the relation between the identity of the jiva and Brahman, which needs to be realized, and the evidence of the Upanishads that confirms it. This connection is like that of a thing to be known and the thing that tells of it. It helps. In other words, the Upanishads provide evidence that confirms the identity of the jiva and Brahman, and this connection needs to be realized to understand the relationship between the two. This verse discusses the fourth Anubandha called Prayojana, which is the necessity of dispelling ignorance and attaining bliss by realizing one's true identity. This is illustrated in the Sruti passages quoted in the verse, such as the knower of self overcomes grief mentioned in Chandogya Upanishad, and he who knows Brahman becomes Brahman mentioned in Mundaka Upanishad. It may be objected that jiva and Brahman are already one and the same, and hence cannot be acquired anew. However, it is important to realize that this identity is present, but remains unrealized in ignorance. It is like a man who has a jewel around his neck, but forgets about it and suffers grief until someone points it out and he can find it again. Similarly, the jiva in ignorance is ignorance can find their true identity when the veil of ignorance is lifted. This verse describes a verse from the Mundaka Upanishad, which speaks of the need for a qualified pupil to seek out a spiritual guide learned in the Vedas and living in Brahman. The pupil must come with an attitude of humility and service, and bearing presence for the teacher. The pupil must be endued with the fourfold prerequisites of knowledge and scorched by the fire of an endless round of birth, death, diseases, and worldly torments. The verse states that the people must seek out a teacher who is learned in the Vedas and lives entirely in Brahman, meaning they must be without sin and desireless. Instruction from such a teacher is necessary for the knowledge of Brahman. As we reach the end of this enlightening discussion, the overarching message is crystal clear. The path to understanding our true divine nature lies in recognizing the identity between the individual soul and the universal soul. The teachings of the Upanishads, as expounded in these verses, serve as our guide, highlighting the importance of shedding ignorance and seeking wisdom. The journey isn't solitary. A spiritual mentor, well-versed in Vedantic teachings, becomes indispensable to ignite the fire of knowledge within us. The aspirant, armed with humility, reverence, and a burning desire to transcend the cycle of birth and death, is then ready to uncover their true identity. And remember, the realization of our divine essence isn't a new acquisition, but a discovery of what's been within us all along, much like a forgotten jewel waiting to be found. Thank you for joining us today. If you found this discussion insightful, don't forget to Like the video and subscribe to our channel for more profound explorations into the world of Vedanta. Stay curious, stay inspired, and continue your journey towards self-discovery with us.